and I've been working for this project with Professor Jonathan Wells, Mark Saunders, and Mario Cortina Borja in a project called the Association of El Niño Southern Oscillation with intergenerational changes in the height and weight of people born in India. Before proceeding, I will give you just a bit of background. So differences across countries are evident at many levels, including the level of poverty, the burden of infectious diseases, the infrastructure, gender equality or inequality, child malnutrition, and many others that are not included in that list. Each of these may potentially have impact to our biology, and there is a question rising behind this. So can migrants leave this behind? Taking India as an example, it is affected by two types of stresses, chronic and acute stresses. Regarding the chronic stresses, it has a high level of poverty, a lot of pathogens which lead to burdens of diseases, and on the other hand, the healthcare is not so advanced. Regarding the acute stresses, it is affected by climate and economic shocks. And again, the same question, can migrants escape the effects of those stresses? I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with El Niño, probably for the last year as well, but El Niño Southern Oscillation is a climate phenomenon, a complex one, which is characterized by fluctuations across sea surface temperatures and atmospheric pressure across equatorial Pacific Ocean. This phenomenon alters the global weather patterns, and that way it causes natural disasters, which might potentially have consequences directly or indirectly for public health. It has a recurrent nature, and but the events are varying in frequency, time of onset, intensity, and in their duration. It is divided in two phases, warm and cold phase, or otherwise El Niño and La Niña. It took its name, actually El Niño means the boy in Spanish and La Niña means the girl. And it took its name from Peruvian sailors after observing that it was happening more oftenly during Christmas. And El Niño, if you write it in capitals, means the Christ, and that's why they call it like this. As you can see in the picture, it has differences according to the region where it happens or the season, if it's on the winter or on the summer season. More specifically, in India, as an example, we can see that during the warm episode, during El Niño, during the summer season, it has droughts. We all know that India is normally a dry country, and they wait for the monsoons to come, which is another climate phenomenon, to bring rains, and therefore they can have water and grow their crops and so on. So El Niño affects them by making the monsoons milder, and so the drought period is prolonged. And therefore they cannot produce their food in the extent that they did when the monsoons were on the normal way. Therefore, one of the major consequences of El Niño Southern Oscillation is famine due to food shortages. And this brings the hypothesis of developmental origins of health and disease, which states that critical windows for growth have long-term effects. And talking about critical windows, it will be approximately to the second year of life. And the question is whether maternal exposure to ENSO during these critical windows can influence, firstly, her own adult phenotype, and when she gives birth, does this affect her offspring as well? Reasons for migration are economic, so people are seeking to find a better career path, a better job, or they are seeking to find a better quality of life, social reason. Political reasons is to escape from wars, and environmentalists to avoid natural disasters, such as flooding or droughts. And therefore the problem is, do actually people avoid natural disasters effects on their health? Because the effects of ENSO might be propagated intergenerationally to the offspring, and therefore offsprings of my grandmothers might have the same effects as they were born in their country of origin. So the aims of this study were to investigate intra but also intergenerational effects of El Niño Southern Oscillation on human health. So what I did is to use DHS data, which were collected from India between 2005 and 2006, and also Oceanic Niño Index, thanks to Mark Saunders, to do that analysis. In pre-processing, I was categorizing women in 3 groups according to their date of birth. So if they were born during, or actually that was 6 to 12 months after an El Niño event or La Niña, or if they were not born during that event, they were categorized as neutral. And then I did the analysis using weight and height as health indicators. In terms of pre-processing, this is a part of from the ONI index, Oceanic Niño Index, and you can see the years on the left and the months, 12 months on top. Red is El Niño, blue is La Niña periods, and the black is the neutral periods. So if someone was born, for example, I was using a window period to classify them as El Niño or La Niña. So even if they were born during June 1991, I was not classifying them as El Niño, because I was checking 3 months before, 3 months after their date of birth. So they all have to be within the event or within neutral. So if 2 events were overlapping, I was classifying them as noise. And that's why I ended up with a small portion, a large portion of the sample size being categorized as noise. But I still had 2,000 or 3,000 subjects in each of the groups. And these are my results. So initially I found that El Niño is associated with weight and height of women being 6 to 12 months old during the event. And what I found out is that it was 0.8 kilograms shorter than people who were 6 or 12 months old, who were born actually during a neutral period, and 0.5 centimeters shorter than the others. And I used height over age z-scores to account for age differences between the groups. In terms of La Niña, it was associated only with weight of women being 6 to 12 months of age during the event, and they were actually almost 1.5 kilograms heavier compared to the neutral groups. Transgenerational effects now. So I didn't have any indication whether El Niño is associated with weight or height of offsprings of women being 6 to 12 months of age during that event. Although the p-values were significant, accounting for age difference, the p-values went up, but I think this can be corrected by using a larger sample size, by increasing the size of the sample. And this is my future work. Regarding La Niña transgenerational effects, I found that it was associated with the weight of the offsprings of women being 6 to 12 months of age, and it was actually 1/10 of a Z-score, which is, for me, is quite significant. you know, this differs from people, person to person. And interestingly, if we account for male and female, La Niña has stronger association with male children. And you can see that it was 1/8 approximately of a Z-score, which is quite nice. The reason behind this, I don't know. It is still to be found, but I suspect is the way of thinking in people in India, and I can come back to this later if I've got time. To sum up everything, there are indications that El Niño Southern Oscillation affects human health, and those effects are intra and intergenerational. Though there are sex differences between those effects, and therefore further studies to explore the long-term effects of ENSO are considered important. And just the take-home message is that people bring their past with them. Even if you were born in India and migrated to UK, for example, or Denmark, to improve your health care, to find a better place, does it actually improve your health? It probably not. You will have your own conclusions. And possible mechanism behind this, it's still to be found. It might be long-term effects on utero volume. It might be developmental programming of the oocyte. It can even be epigenetic transmission. And before finishing, I will need to thank my 3 supervisors, Professor Jonathan Wells, Mark Saunders, and Mario Cortina Borja, as well as UCL, LITO program, and BPSRC, who funds me. And thank you for your attention.